So the IDF has presented to the government a spectrum of options. The government is currently debating them, and we expect to have their decision in the next maybe even few hours or the next few days. Our role is to fulfill the government's objectives with regard to strategy and intentions. And of course, the reality on the ground is one which, if we turn the other cheek, we might wake up to another 7th of October. So there are many concerns that inaction will create a more devastating reality in the future. The reality that Iran is and has been and continues to be the most destabilizing factor in the Middle East and beyond. An actor that has empowered, encouraged, and financed the likes of Hezbollah, the likes of Hamas, the likes of the Houthis, because all of these organizations could not exist without Iran's doing. So when we look at what Iran did on Saturday night, with launching over 300 ballistic missiles at Israel, explosive drones, cruise missiles, the fact that they failed in their diabolic intentions does not and should not give them a free pass to prepare another attack. We need to be very strong in the message that we send, but we also need to do it with wisdom. So while we are, of course, I think that the most encouraging outcome of that event was the alliance that came together, the unity of decent nations under the umbrella of the United States Central Command, together with the United Kingdom, with the French, and with regional players, because we all realize that Iran is up to no good. And that's precisely why we need to think and consider with what our allies and those decent players, what they are thinking, that it can't be at the expense of a potential tragedy down the road. To kick the can down the road has proven that it fails us. So we need to be cautious, we need to be very wary, and we need to be wise.
A direct response on Iranian soil by Israel will inevitably lead to some kind of response to that response. How concerned are you that Israel's defenses may not have the success rate that it did on Saturday night against more serious weaponry, should Tehran choose that as a route to go down?
So obviously a 99% interception rate is exceptional. That's not the interception rate we've had with the war against Hamas. We've had high risk interception rate, but not 99%. Of course, there is a challenge and a threat, without going into specific scenarios of options that are on the table from Israel's perspective. And that will have to weigh on those decision makers, whether they, on the types of moves or actions that they would like us to pursue. Our responsibility is to make sure and ensure the safety and security of Israel. That is what we are charged with doing. That's what we will continue to do. As Iran and their proxies in the region continue to threaten us, we've just had more reports of another suspicious aerial object in the north of Israel just in the last hour. It just goes to show that Iran and their proxies haven't stopped. What are we supposed to do? Just hope that they don't do it again. There needs to be a very clear message, one of unity that was sent out on Saturday night, but it also has to be able to be followed through, that it not only is a temporary step, it needs to be very manageable for the safety and security of the entire region.
In terms of dealing with those proxies, what is the latest, first of all, with the fight against the Hamas terror group in Gaza? What is the key area of fighting that's going on? What is the latest with regard to Rafah?
So there are three issues currently on the table with regard to the fight against Hamas. First of all, we are in an advanced planning process for mobilizing into Rafah. That will include pursuing Hamas, destroying their battalions and bringing home hostages. Of course, it has to work in conjunction with evacuating civilians out of the area, people that are not involved, distinguishing between the civilians and the Hamas terrorists. We are continuing, we still have forces on the ground in central Gaza. There is an ongoing operation in the area of Nuseirat, which is, as we speak, pursuing Hamas infrastructure, operating capabilities, leadership in that area. And we are continuing to pursue our hostage release, either through operational activities on the ground or through negotiations. The Mossad, through the Prime Minister's office yesterday, announced that the Hamas terrorist organization has turned down a deal that was on the table. So that is currently stalled, but we need to be prepared for a development on that field as well.
What is the fighting capability of Hamas right now? Clearly, we are able to tell where the missiles and drones came from in terms of Iran on Saturday night. Is there a sense that because there wasn't an arsenal coming from Gaza, that Hamas's capability to attack from a rocket point of view has been severely diminished?
Absolutely. We have taken out their production capabilities. We have pursued them, the people that are conducting, the terrorists that are conducting the launches. And when they're able to get a few rockets out, then we have rapid interception. So we are dealing with the whole chain of events, from the production to the launchers themselves and to the terrorists that are conducting the launch. So there is, and this is constant pursuit, and it's a cat and mouse type of game that is ongoing. But it's a reality that we realize that even when the war is over, there may still be some capabilities of firing rockets towards Israel. We need to make sure that they don't have it in an organized manner. We need to make sure that there's no centralized command that can instruct a coordinated, orchestrated attack against us. And we need to take out those that have those bad intentions to launch attacks against us.
And how close do you think the IDF is to getting at the key leaders of Hamas, specifically Yahya Sinwar?
So it's a slow-paced operation, and of course, we have said throughout the course of the last 6 months that he is a dead man walking. And so, of course, the orchestrator, the mastermind, the financier, and the person that gave the green light of the attack of the 7th of October has to be very, very cautious. And he is being very cautious. He's not being seen. We will continue to pursue him. And I think that I wouldn't want to put a time frame on it, because he's hiding like a rat in a tunnel somewhere. We will get to him.
And as that develops, you're obviously, with regard to the general risk and general assessment in the north, looking at Hezbollah, and especially now post Saturday night's events. What is your instinct there? When will the IDF have to do something more meaningful in Lebanon?
So we are still maintaining a defensive posture. The Israelis, 60,000 Israelis on the border with Lebanon that have been evacuated from their houses for their own safety for the last 6 months, is a very challenging reality for them. The defensive posture is one where the diplomacy is still being given a chance to get Hezbollah to move north of the Litani River in accordance to the United Nations Security Council resolution. That has yet to produce a result. And therefore, the IDF is conducting its preparations for the possibility for mobilization, if instructed to do so. We need to be prepared, because if we are not prepared, then we won't be able to get the people home. I would say that it is a very challenging time here in Israel. We need to be focused first on bringing back the 133 hostages in Gaza, and only after then we need to focus elsewhere. It can be achieved through diplomacy, but if diplomacy fails, we need to be prepared to use military force.
And in light of Iran's attack on Israel on Saturday night, what would you say to people around the world who say, take the win, take a breath, leave things as they are, take the win?
I would say if you're advising Israel to do that, first put yourself in Israel's seat. Consider what you would feel like as a free nation, as a free country. Consider what would you expect from your leaders, from your military to do. You would expect them to make sure it can never happen again. The country was shut down on Saturday night. Our airport was closed. This is an unbearable reality against a malign organization with ill intentions who is only interested in destabilizing the region. Iran can't be permitted to do that. And therefore, if you're asking Israel not to do something, I would say, first of all, look yourself in the mirror and say, what would I expect from my government? What would I expect from my military? I would expect for them to make sure it can never happen again.
Peter,